The Toy Story films have long been mainstays of children's entertainment.
For infinity and beyond.
Yet Pixar is well known for throwing in raunchy Easter eggs and weaving in mature themes for its more adult audiences. Toy Story 4 continues to wink at adult moviegoers without letting the kids know. Join ScreenRant as we take a closer look at the latest of these classic kids films for the moments only adults are sure to notice. The Toy Story franchise has been no stranger to swearing, often subtly nodding at curse words through concealed references or allusions.
Love your leg warmers.
Nice ass cut.
In the first film, when Buzz is being marveled at by all the other toys, he tells Woody that the word he might be looking for to refer to him is Space Ranger, to which Woody replies that he has to hold his tongue in front of all the preschool toys, suggesting he wants to use a curse word. In a moment that echoes this earlier moment in Toy Story 4, has Bonnie's dad hold back on swearing in front of his kid in a joke that lets its adult audience fill in the blanks without ever actually exposing the kid's ears to anything foul. When Forky escapes on one of his many escapades and Woody has to rescue him, the group of toys give Bonnie's family a flat tire in order to extend their stay. When Dad finds their rental RV has a flat tire, he blows up. Bonnie's mother momentarily scuttles Bonnie away, explaining that Daddy's gonna need some words. Foul language continued in the movie, in the cleanest way possible. It was rated G after all. As Buzz gets trapped at the carnival, the audience is introduced to two rowdy stuffed animals, Ducky and Bunny, who live as prizes at the fair Bonnie's family gets stuck at. When Woody and his crew agree to take on this unruly pair to help them find kids they can belong to, they might not really have known what they were getting themselves into, as these two prove to have foul mouths of their own. When Woody insists that they have to return to the town antique store, well known for its creepiness, Ducky exclaims, "Stuff that!" This moment bears the echoes of so many other concealed curse words the series has toyed with for the sake of its adult audience's enjoyment. For instance, when Mr. Potato Head notices Woody and Sid's house in the first film, he exclaims,
"Son of a building block! It's Woody!
He's in the Psycho's bedroom!"
a wink and a nod to a certain actual common curse. In many ways, Ducky and Bunny are some of the most adult characters in the film. In one moment of the film, the two imagine freaking out on an old lady together and beating her up to get a cabinet key. In a GQ article entitled "Toy Story 4 is the most melancholy film Pixar has ever made," writer David Levisley suggests that this brutal vision is a marker of the more adult shift in tone the series has taken in this latest film. While the film's kid audiences may not read into this momentary violent fantasy, the adult viewers that grew up with the series may appreciate the more mature shift we can see in moments like these. While in many ways, all the series' casting choices are meant for its adult audience, it's doubtful that a kid would care that Tom Hanks headlines the franchise, for instance. The pair of famous comedians chosen to play Ducky and Bunny mark a particularly adult choice for the series.
I'll help you with my foot.
Keegan-Michael Key and Jordan Peele are not exactly known for playing their humor towards kids, as any one of their movies or shows will testify. The famous comedic duo kicked off their careers with a raunchy sketch comedy show that would scarcely have ever been on network TV while the kids were up. Peele is now known for the dark and political horror films that he's directed of late, movies certainly not meant for child audiences. We can only assume that the choice to cast such adult actors in these roles was Toy Story 4's hope to appeal to the millennial-aged audiences who grew up with the franchise. Pixar loves to fill its films with pop culture references that kids are certain not to get. Beyond its casting choices, the Toy Story franchise has long peppered its films with nods to pop culture for grown-ups. One such moment in the latest film comes when Buzz repeatedly presses his buttons in order to hear what he calls his inner voice, the pre-programmed phrases he mistakenly attributes as his conscience after a conversation with Woody.
Inner voice advises you.
One of the phrases that rapidly comes tumbling out is "Open the pod bay doors," a super momentary reference to Stanley Kubrick's sci-fi masterpiece 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
This is not the first time the movies have paid homage to this iconic director. In the first film, the franchise underscores the antagonist Sid's creepy vibe by covering the house's floors in the same carpet featured in The Shining. Kid fans are unlikely to get the connection Toy Story 4 is making between Buzz and another astronaut character grappling with the nature of consciousness, so we can only assume that this line is meant for the adults. Another more mature pop culture reference might be intuited by adult audiences in the form of Gabby Gabby, the antagonist of Toy Story 4. whose suit-sporting henchmen bear close resemblance to the gangsters of countless mob movies. Beyond these creepy, dullard bodyguards of hers who do her dirty work without protest, one particularly clear example of the adult tone the world of the antique shop sets might be found in the pinball machine Woody and Bo Peep visit. It's here where they first meet stunt motorcyclist toy Duke Kaboom. Writer David Levisley calls this space a dusty, spooky labyrinth mixed with dystopian neon. Though never explicitly stated, the already mobster-like world established in the antique store suggests that this place of gathering for the shop's toy inhabitants might be a bar or speakeasy of sorts. A speakeasy is a term for an illegal bar that opened during the Prohibition, a perfect way to blend in the antique element of the set piece. During the scene where Bo first introduces Woody to Duke, glasses can be heard clinking in the back of the dimly lit room while other toys dance and swing around in the background in a way that suggests to grown-up audiences that they may be drinking. Like so much else at the antique store, seems very Goodfellas-esque. Some of Toy Story 4's hidden adult themes are of a more intimate nature. Adult fans of the series might already be familiar with the mature undertones woven into Woody and Bo's relationship.
I'm just a couple of blocks away.
Toy Story 4 features Bo and Woody's relationship as a centerpiece of the movie and does not abandon the intimate undercurrent they established in the first movie. At one point, for instance, Bo and Woody are both thrown out of the playground to land flat on their backs in a dense thicket of leaves. As they brush themselves off and adjust their clothes, they're both incredibly bashful and embarrassed. Adult audiences might read this as an allusion to the moments of getting changed after a special encounter, though kids might not see this reference. This idea is further suggested later in the film when the two get thrown suddenly into the midst of a spinning theme park ride and Bo lands on top of Woody lying down. She suggestively states, "Thanks for the landing," to which Woody blushes and clears his throat. It is doubtful that the franchise would want its kid audiences to read much into this, but adults might pick up on the implications, especially as they've been played with in the past. Toy Story 4's dealings with adult content go beyond allusions and swearing and adult relations. The film also alludes to drug use by featuring a carny worker at the fair that would be hard for adult audiences not to see as a stoner. The employee who supervises the shooting game Ducky and Bunny are imprisoned in bears incredible resemblance to Shaggy from Scooby-Doo in both looks and attitude. Like Shaggy, the most famous stoner sneakily featured in a kids franchise, the character sports long, greasy hair and a Valley Girl accent. Adult audiences might understand this as the behavior of a teen doing his best to make his crappy summer job better by doing it stoned, though this illusion is out of reach for its kid viewers. Perhaps the most obvious suggestion of this is when Bunny and Ducky imagine themselves growing monstrously large, shooting him with laser beam eyes and trampling the theme park. While this is Bunny's fantasy, it would also be easy for adult audiences to guess at this being a reference to stoner paranoia, something that deadbeat teens seem likely to experience. On a more tame note, Toy Story 4 pays homage to the many millennial moviegoers who grew up with the franchise from childhood, referencing itself in several ways that only this older crowd will get. These lifelong fans might notice, for instance, the moment early in Toy Story 4 where Woody affectionately recalls the way Buzz thought he had really arrived in space when he first got to Andy's glow-in-the-dark star-studded room.
You are a toy!
They might also catch on to the references to Dinoco Gas Station or Poultry Palace, two fictionalized businesses the franchise introduced to us previously. Poultry Palace was one of the main settings for the Toy Story tune Small Fry. These older fans might have deeper insight into the traumatizing experience Woody faces when he has his voice box surgically removed by Gabby Gabby's henchmen, which echoes a scene in the second movie where Woody is made over by a toy collector, painting over the infamous Andy he has written on the bottom of his boot and rendering him a lost toy. There are so many other callbacks this film makes to the earlier sequels, all of which are undoubtedly intended for the audience who was brought up on them rather than newer and younger fans. Perhaps the greatest testament to the maturity of the latest Toy Story films is the general shift the film takes towards the profoundly adult themes of autonomy and existential despair. The whole film, after all, centers on a suicidal spork, and fans watch Woody go on his own psychic journey to realize his own meaninglessness in his kid's life. Unlike the shiny, plasticated happiness of the prior films, this movie clearly deals in themes designed to resonate with the earliest audiences of the franchise and not just young children. A quick internet search yields countless headlines commenting on this mature shift in tone in the latest film. From Toy Story 4 is the most melancholy film Pixar has ever made, to the best part of Toy Story 4 is the existential terror. A number of reviews from audiences and critics alike have thus named this film the darkest of the Toy Story movies yet. The franchise has clearly grown up alongside its earliest audience.
So long, partner.
Make sure you get to a theater as soon as possible to see this classic franchise brought back to life, and let us know in the comments what adult moments you noticed in the film that we didn't cover. In the meantime, be sure to subscribe to ScreenRant for more deep dives into your favorite movies.